Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous. For 30 years, China has been building step by step toward a tipping point in the global balance of power. A tipping point that will allow it to take over and to impose what it calls a new world order. That tipping point may have come with the war in Gaza. Why? China's Xi Jinping has been talking for at least 10 years about toppling what he calls the global hegemon, the global center of power, the United States. China's effort to take over as global leader showed its head 19 years ago, in 2004, when China's future leader, Hu Jintao, visited the continent that we regarded as our private playground, South America. Up until then, we had enforced the Monroe Doctrine, which said we would not tolerate any foreign meddling in South America. But China defied that doctrine and signed security and trade agreements with 21 South American nations. Then, 10 years ago, Xi Jinping announced his Belt and Road Initiative, a new Silk Road with high-speed rail connections, superhighways, and a necklace of ultra-modern ports that goes clear around the world, increasing the speed of trade and potentially increasing the speed of transport for China's military. The Belt and Road Initiative includes 40 ports in South America, 100 ports in Africa, at least 4 ports in Europe, and stakes in 5 ports in the United States, in Miami, Houston, Long Beach, Los Angeles, and Seattle. China recruited 155 nations to join the Belt and Road. That's 75% of the world's population and half of the world's economic output. And China cemented the deal by giving out $1 trillion in loans. Meanwhile, China built the world's largest navy and the world's biggest ground-based rocket force. Now it aims to double its number of nuclear warheads by 2030. But the real move toward world dominance came with an undeclared military alliance, the Axis of Evil. The Axis of Evil straddles the globe. Its members include China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, Syria, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba. And in 2009, the Axis of Evil spawned a little brother, the BRICS nations. The BRICS was originally just Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, BRICS. Its name was coined by an executive at Goldman Sachs, who saw the BRICS as an investment opportunity. Something crucial happened to the BRICS in August. China is a member of the Group of Seven, a coalition led by the United States. The Group of Seven has long been considered the most powerful group of nations in the world. The Group of Seven was due to have one of its summits in May. U.S. President Joe Biden was due to be there, along with the heads of France, Germany, England, and Japan. Everyone expected China's president, Xi Jinping. But Xi didn't show up. He snubbed the Group of Seven, and instead, 3 months later, in August, he appeared at the BRICS summit with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, thus signaling that the Group of Seven and its European powers were over and out, and that coalitions led by China would take over from here. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin was supposed to be at the BRICS meeting, but couldn't come. He could have been arrested in Johannesburg because the International Criminal Court has 2 warrants out for his arrest for war crimes. This was remarkably convenient for Xi, who was thus alone with India's Modi, alone in a way that implied that the new global leader was Xi, and that India supported that view. But there's more. At the BRICS summit, the BRICS added 6 new members: Iran, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Argentina, and Ethiopia, thus bringing in the wealth, the oil, and the clout of the Arab Middle East. And at that summit, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi did something crucial. He claimed that the BRICS would lead the global South, a coalition of 134 of the least developed nations on Earth, but a coalition with 85% of the world's population and 39% of the world's economic output. Who was at Narendra Modi's side? China's Xi Jinping. But there's even more. Russia has brought 7 African nations into its sphere of influence and thus into the axis of evil, using its Wagner Group mercenaries. And China now has 6 of its warships parked at all times in the Middle East, including 2 guided missile ships, and including in the Mediterranean Sea. All of this means that China now leads 2 alliances that between them have far more than half the humans on the globe and produce roughly half of the Earth's economic output. Xi has been putting together a row of dominoes that would, he hoped, fall and give him world leadership someday. Then, on October 6th, Xi had a stroke of luck: the Israel-Hamas war. Why was this good for Xi? Because Russia and China both side with Hamas. Hamas is a proxy army of their ally in the axis of evil and in the BRICS, Iran. And China's stand with Hamas will gain it tremendous world sympathy, which may allow China to topple its dominoes. What does China want to achieve when those dominoes finally fall? Xi Jinping wants to push America out of the top spot on the globe and take over. And according to the National Bureau of Asian Research and my reading of Xi Jinping's stuff, Xi wants to stamp out our democracy, our freedom of speech, and our freedom of thought forever. This is Howard Bloom, speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make. Or, want to know why? Ask how. And now for the off button.